today I'm going to be inking up this Linocut plate as if it were an etching. I'm going to be putting the ink all over the plate, pushing it into the scratches and scrapes I made, and then rubbing it off the surface, just leaving the ink in the marks, and then I'm going to be printing it off on an etching press. It'll be interesting to see what actually happens and how it works. Oh, I've got a bit of an impression there, so something's happened. I don't know if it's a bit too much pressure on by the looks of it. Let's have a look at this. Oh, it's quite atmospheric in its own way. There we are. So that's got all these lovely scrapey marks that I did. I can see it on there. Let's have a look where you are. I've just inked it up again, and this time I've taken more ink off, generally all over. I'm still printing it as if it were a Drypoint. You can see all the little scratches that I've scraped into the surface of the plate. I just want to add a few more marks to my plate before I print it again. Before I use my old lino tools, which were quite blunt, to be honest, and when people saw me using these, I think they were quite alarmed with the energy at which I used them, and they were frightened I was going to cut myself, bashing and crashing and scraping the marks. I have now treated myself to a new lino cutting tool in order for me to create some sharper, finer marks. This is a Feel L11/1, and it's absolutely beautiful. I'm going to use the tool to make some nice, sharper, cleaner cuts in the surface of my lino. When I'm inking the plate, I'm going to make sure these little lines here are filled with ink. They're going to print like Drypoints. I'm not going to put ink into the larger marks, just the fine little scuffs. So I've cut more marks and scrapes into my plate, my lino plate, and I'm just doing another print now to see what it looks like. Let's have a look. Good pressure on the print. Here it is. Oh yes, there's definitely more scrapey Drypoint marks in this one, and you can also see down the bottom some of the cuts I made with my new lino tool. So having cut the lino traditionally with tools and then scraped the tools on the surface, I've got these two different contrasting types of marks. They're like more drawing-y, scratchy and Drypoint marks, and the deeper cut lino marks. Now I want to re-ink this plate and print it as if it were in some parts intaglio, where I've rubbed the ink off the surface of the plate, and I want to print the scuffs and the scratches like I've just done. But in other areas, I just want to roller the ink on and print the surface of the plate as if it were a traditional lino, a relief print. I'm going to use soaked paper, but only very briefly soaked. You can see now where the darker areas are where the ink's on the surface, and the lighter areas is where I've rubbed off and left the ink in the marks. Oh yes, you can definitely tell the difference between the light and dark areas. The light areas are the intaglio areas, and the dark are the printed relief. In the last print, I thought there was a little bit too much of a contrast between the light and dark, so now I've made another print with just been a bit more selective with my wiping. So there's not so much of a contrast this time. I'm just trying now, rubbing some areas of the plate with a cotton bud to use more of a monoprint style on the surface of the plate before I print. Oh yes, this is a bit more like it. So it's got the contrasty marks, but a little bit more selective all over the plate. I'm starting to like this a lot more, and the more different types of marks. In my next video, I'll be responding to some of the marks that I found in my lino and transforming them into something quite different. Bye! Happy printmaking everyone, and don't forget to keep experimenting. Bye!